Tabernacle of the Bridegroom, Decoding the Mazzaroth. This is Comet Codes. Welcome back, family. Our first dig is Comet Weirzchos. Michael, ready for fire and judgment. Let's do this. Okay. Right here we have the last alignment of Comet Weirzchos on May the 24th, 2025, just before midnight. We're going to go here to these codes, and this is the alignment with the head of Draco. And this was a sign to me that this comet was giving us very important signs related to Draco. And you can see that iPet Goat 2 has depictions of this. And what we're doing right now is we're going to be doing a special comet report. So let's go ahead and get into the codes first. This is our last alignment on May the 24th, 2025. Comet Weirzchos equals the world is about to change, the greatest show on Earth. Mercury, Venus, the planet Venus, the storm is here, Black Plague is next, the divine triangle, the end of the world, southern border, spiritual army, break the matrix code, wicked matrix hacked to bits, Hollywood burned, doomsday, the evil number, 13th of January. Order of Melchizedek, decode serpent bearer. Saturn was a son, Yahweh Saturn. Michael, ready for fire and judgment. Okay, family. What we're doing here is we're showing how this comet and the codes that are associated with this comet are presenting a grand story in the heavens, and it's directly associated with the Archangel Michael. These are really important signs in the heavens. And what I found is that these signs go all the way back to August the 13th of 2023. And on that day, you have the first Draco alignment with the comet. And this comet essentially comes from the Draco constellation. And I ran it back years and years and years and years and years, and it essentially comes out of this constellation, makes its first alignment on August the 13th of 23. It makes its second alignment on June the 7th, 2024, and it makes its third alignment with the constellation of Draco on 7/20/2024. Then it moves out of the Draco constellation and into the Hercules constellation. And we've done presentations of this before. We've gone into some basic information about Hercules. And you can see how Hercules is got his left leg is above the head of Draco as if it's going to crush it, and then he is bent on one knee. and these are very important signs in the heavens. It shows him wrestling the triple-headed serpent, and it's a representation of Hercules wrestling with the serpents, which is the dragon. And Draco is a representation of that. You could say that Hercules is wrestling the serpents that come from the dragon constellation, and he is essentially pictured as Michael, who is wrestling the serpents. And you can also see that directly with the Ophiuchus constellation and how that is shown to us on the ecliptic with the constellation of serpents in the hands of Ophiuchus. And it's a direct representation. It has two um, representations. It has a representation of Michael the Archangel, who is the warrior of Messiah, who goes out with the army of the angels to defeat the underworld, or what we would call the serpent army from the underworld. Or we can look at this from the perspective of Cetus as the sea serpent. We can look at this as Draco as the another image of the serpent. And then again, you have Hercules wrestling the triple-headed snake. And that is as you have the two heads of Hercules and Ophiuchus back to back. You have the serpents back to back. And then you have Scorpio. And Ophiuchus has multiple deacons, one of them being Ophiuchus and the other being Hercules. We can see Serpens is also one of the deacons of Scorpio. And in the ancient times, as I've said many times, Scorpius was connected to Libra in the judgment, the scales of judgment. And this area of the Mazzaroth is a very important area of the Mazzaroth when it comes to the harvest language. And then we've already been doing a lot of research on the marriage signs. And this is also the most important marriage signs in the heavens is here at the foot of the bride. We have the altar, and then we have Ophiuchus as the chuppah, which is the marriage chamber. And then you have the Golden Gate, and you have Sagittarius as the temple or the house of God, where all of the marriage participants are going. So they cross the Golden Gate. They come out of the marriage chamber. They enter into the Golden Gate and then into the tabernacle. And we can see that here with Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius. And so these are all connected in the heavens. And you also have this northern crown. And if you look, it's right next to Hercules, and it's as if Ophiuchus is holding back serpents from this northern crown. And this is all part of our story that we're about to break down. You have the alignment with Hercules on 10/20 of 24. Comet Weirzchos aligns with Hercules the first time. Then on 11/13/24, Comet Weirzchos aligns again with Hercules. Then on 1/30 of 2025, you have the third alignment with this comet and the constellation Hercules. So this pattern of three is duplicated with it making three alignments with Draco and then three alignments with Hercules. Then we come to this point here where we have Comet Weirzchos lining up and crossing the neck of Draco as if the comet is giving us the sign that Hercules is going to chop off the head of Draco. And that was the last time that I made a report on this comet was May the 24th, 2025 with these codes that came up. And what we're going to do now is we're going to move forward. We're going to watch how this comet is telling a grand story in the heavens. It came out of this Draco constellation. It made three alignments with the Draco constellation, then it moved into Hercules, where it made three alignments, and then it came all the way back to this Draco constellation, as if it's telling us that we need to pay close attention to Draco, then we needed to pay close attention to Hercules. It made an alignment with the left leg, and then it made an alignment with the right leg of Hercules. And these are all signs of the action of Hercules, which represents Michael, and it also ultimately represents Christ who defeats the serpents and the host of the underworld, and this is all being shown to us in the heavens. You can see right next to Draco is Cepheus and Cassiopeia, and this is a representation of uh, the heaven, the Father, and the Mother in the heavens, waiting for the bride and the bridegroom. And what we're looking at here is Comet Weirzchos being shown as a storyline. So we're going to continue the story from here. We're going to be looking at the next alignment, and that is on 8. Let's get in here. We have the alignment of Comet Weirzchos with let's go ahead and just get this up. That's going to have to be close enough. We don't have to be directly on because as long as we have our day right. So now we have Hercules, and now we're again aligned with the leg that is bent and on the knee. What we're going to do now is we're going to take a look at some information about these deacons, because it's going to help us to expand upon the language of the heavens. The first place we're going is the Pillar of Enoch. I'll connect these in the video description. So if you want to go do a deeper study, you can just click in and I'll have these studies ready for you to go deeper into. But we have number three, Scorpio. The scorpion represents Satan as our enemy with claws to entrap us, as well as to seemingly thwart Christ. Satan sought to fatally sting Christ's heel through the crucifixion, not realizing that he had just sealed his own defeat. Indeed, Satan's folly allowed Christ and all who follow him to put Satan under their feet or authority. Scorpio signifies the fulfillment of Genesis 3:15 when the seed of the woman, who is Christ, will triumph over the seed of the serpent, the Antichrist. Also see Matthew 13:38. In addition, Scorpio signifies Revelations pale horse that is ridden by Ophiuchus in Judgment. Scorpio's three deacons are Serpens, Ophiuchus, and Hercules. And I want to point this out again one more time because if you've been following lately, the codes have been talking about the pale horse. And we've gotten multiple code alignments with this. And this study really brings out one of the minor aspects of Scorpio that I've only talked about a couple times because it's not a prominent thing, but it is a background thing that has come through some stories in history. And so I want to bring that out here again. It says, in addition, Scorpio signifies Revelation's pale horse that is ridden by Ophiuchus in Judgment. And let's go ahead and read each of these deacons. Okay, Serpent's the serpent, the original serpent who beguiled Eve with lies, is caught in the Christ figure Ophiuchus' mighty grasp, where he has no chance of winning, even though he still tries to snatch Christ's crown, as found in the Corona Borealis constellation near Serpent's head. This serpent also signifies all those in that brood of vipers that hates Christ and follows their evil spiritual father, Satan. And you can see these associated scriptures. Serpents also depicts those trying to build the new world order without Christ. Ophiuchus, the serpent holder, this big constellation hovering over Scorpio, represents a mighty man that is wrestling with and subduing serpents, which represents Satan. This mighty man is Christ and his church, and his foot over Scorpio's head, just as Hercules' foot is over Draco's, in mimicry of the feet of Christ that will one day crush Satan and all who follow him. In addition, Ophiuchus in Revelation's rider on the pale horse, with his horse depicted by Scorpio. So this is very important language that's coming out here with Scorpio and Ophiuchus and the pale horse. And I found these signs in the heavens that are very unmistakable. We're going to be showing you how this all is it's just too much to pass up. So we have to see all of this in order to discover the message being written in the heavens. So we have Hercules, the mighty man, like Ophiuchus. This mighty man, clothed in a lion's skin, is Christ, the Lion of Judah. Here he is a victorious warrior, raising a club to hit the serpents on the head as he raises his foot to crush the head of Draco the dragon, which represents Satan in his most beguiling and malevolent form. Now we're going to go slip right down here into Sagittarius because it is also part of this story. It's connected to the comet, and we're going to see how that connection plays out at the very end. So here we go. Sagittarius, the archer. Here we see Christ depicted as half man, half sacrificial animal, just as in Centaurus. A composite image that can be also be viewed as Christ victoriously riding his white horse Pegasus as he aims his bow and arrow at the heart of the enemy seen in adjacent Scorpio. In addition, Sagittarius is Revelation's rider on the white horse, which depicts the gospel being preached during the 7 year Great Tribulation. And then they're showing you the verses in Zechariah and Revelation. And then you can see the three deacons of Sagittarius. So what we have here is the deacons showing us information that will expound upon what we're about to see. So now we're here on Berean Insights. We're looking at the message in the stars for Scorpio. And we're going to go down to Hercules. We have Hercules, a Christ-like figure, kneeling on one knee, holding a branch. Now, some have this holding uh, a lion or holding a skin of an animal. This I really like because it's more of the ancient language with Hercules holding a branch. And that is a sign of Christ also as the branch. The other foot is over the head of Draco, the dragon. Um, then you can see each of these stars and the language that the star itself is speaking. But he was pierced for our rebellion, crushed for our sins. He was beaten so we could be whole. He was whipped so we could be healed. And then you see the other verses that are associated with this star imagery. This verse in Genesis is predictive of the fact that the devil will bruise the heel of Christ, seemingly gaining the victory over him at the cross, but Christ will ultimately defeat the devil totally by crushing or stamping on the devil's head. The illustration of that conflict is summed up in the constellations in the heavens by Scorpio and its associated deacons. Yet the conflict is so unerringly accurate according to what is written in the Bible, it has to make us stop and at least think about the significance. How appropriate that Scorpio should be illustrated stinging the heel of Ophiuchus, a type of Christ. While Ophiuchus, crushes the head of the serpent in accord with Genesis 3:15. Yes, the conflict of the ages is laid out in the skies above us, and many ancient civilizations were aware of it. At the conclusion of this series, I will give you an illustration of how all the constellations and their deacons go together. There's a debate as to whether Ophiuchus is a deacon of Scorpion or whether it is in fact a 13th constellation, giving all the details surrounding this patch of the heavens. The deacon Hercules is depicted holding a branch, reference to Christ as the branch, as we saw looking at the constellation of Virgo, with his foot over the head of Draco the dragon. Whichever way we look at the constellations and their associated deacons surrounding Scorpio, they are all related to the conflict of the ages. And we can see this in the heavens with this area of the deacons of Scorpio, and we have this comet that is marking with the 3 and the 3. And then we have the sign of Draco having his head cut off. Now we have Hercules taking a knee. And so I have the next alignment of Weirzchos on August the 17th. Hercules takes a knee. And again, we're looking at Michael the Archangel because he is the archangel that is sent out in battle against the other fallen angels. And we can see even in the codes, order of Melchizedek and decode serpent bearer. That is a direct sign of Ophiuchus. And we can see how these are all being shown. And if we just take each of these codes and really do uh, just take the time to just look at them associated with what we're presenting, because it goes very, very, very deep and it shows us the extent of this battle in the heavens. So now we're going to move forward. We're going to be taking a look at the rest of the story that this comet shows us up till we enter it back into uh, Ophiuchus. And this is a very important language in the heavens, because we have been looking for the signs for the bride of Christ. And this sort of completes everything that I've been pointing to. And what I found is so huge with this comet. I have to break this up into another part because it's just too much for me to get into one video. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring this forward until this comet enters into the hoopah, the marriage chamber. We're going to show you how this has all been set up as the story of the bride and the bridegroom, because remember, Christ has to defeat the serpent before we can see this marriage in heaven. There's got to be the battle of the ages has to ensue before the bridegroom can go and take his place. Otherwise, the bridegroom would get called out to the battle. He's not going to just put Michael in charge of a battle without him being there as a backup. So I believe this has to go down in the heavens before the escape of the bride, because it's at least 1 year where the bridegroom is with the bride without any interference. And that is in the ancient language of the Hebrew wedding. And we can't pass any of those things up. We have to see this as a whole. So what we're doing next is we're going to be moving forward and we're going to be looking at where Comet Weirzchos is headed, and wouldn't you know it, we're looking at Comet Weirzchos showing us this grand story in the heavens. I can't make this up, and neither can you. And this is just something that we follow. We just watch. and the grand story is shown to us. Now we have, after Hercules takes a knee as if he is being anointed or blessed, then on 9/16/2025, Comet Weirzchos makes its alignment with the northern crown, Corona Borealis. And this is a sign of Hercules getting the crown. This is the crown of glory sign, 9/16/2025. Comet Weirzchos aligns with Corona Borealis. This is very important to me. This is Hercules being given the crown. This is the crowning of Hercules. Again, this is a representation of the Archangel Michael and also of Messiah Christ, who ultimately all every angel and all of us will be putting our crowns down at the feet of Messiah. This is the crown of Christ, and this is also Hercules, a representation of Michael being given the crown of victory. So we're looking at 9/16, and then we're going to be moving forward, and we're going to be looking at 10/9. We're in the constellation of Hercules. We have Weirzchos now marking the arm with the branch. This is the sign of the branch. Comet Weirzchos 10/9/25 aligns with the arm of the branch of Hercules. And then we're going to be moving forward, and we're going to be showing you the alignment of Comet Weirzchos with the Hoopa. This is the marriage chamber. It's also the constellation of Ophiuchus. And again, this is a representation of the bridegroom, Christ, and it's also a representation of Michael, the archangel, wrestling the serpents. And if we look at the alignment below, it gets extremely, extremely deep because we're not even looking at the rest of the host that we have in these constellations. But if we just go back, we can see how on 11/1, Venus aligns with Spica right before Weirzchos enters into the Hoopa, and we can see Mercury. And on 11/1, it looks as if Mercury is entering into Scorpius. And we can see Mars in the scales. And we can see that we're looking at some very, very important signs. And this alignment with Weirzchos happens on the 3rd of November. And on 10/9, the alignment is with Gamma Hercules. This is the arm that holds the branch. The other arms of Hercules are wrestling with the serpents. And this is very important signs in the heaven. We have the alignment with the marriage chamber. And if we dig in a little deeper, we see another comet inside of the hoopah at the exact same time. We have C2025 A6 lemon, and I have not even began to report on the rest of these signs. We also have the Machholz comets that are all here. They're not all showing up, but there are three Machholz comets that are all showing up here between Ophiuchus and Sagittarius as this is happening. And if we back up just 2 days again to this transition of Mercury and Venus in Spica, we also have Vesta moving into alignment with the Hoopah, or the right leg of Ophiuchus, and this is the entrance into the Golden Gate. This is 11-1. You can see Comet Lemon, and you can see Comet Weirzchos, and you can see Machholz. All of these comets are giving us these signs in the heavens. We even have this Christensen comet in Scorpius. And I'm going to have to dig in deeper. We just did a report on that not too long ago. And we will need to dig into that deeper. Also, this language gets really incredible when you move forward of this. I'm going to see if I have there is a couple other things here, but it doesn't look like they're showing up. So I would have to scroll in more and possibly lose the comment. But we're done with the report, so let's go ahead and do this. Okay, we have some very strong marriage language. And we want to take a look at this. If we go back here, we're looking at Esther on 10/28/2025. Esther is crossing the hoopah just before the Virgin's Vesta. And you also have Juno is right at the line. And let's see if I would say right there on the 30th, Juno enters into the hoopah. And we have Dembowska, and if we look at this alignment, we have very important alignments happening right here. On 10/24, you have Dembowska about to mark Antares, and the moon is right there. You have Mars in the altar, and Mercury is right there on the scales. And you have Vesta inside of the hoopah. You also have Juno there. and you have Esther there. And these are all very, very important signs. And if you, let's see, by doing that, I lost. If you have stellarium, then I suggest that you pull up that comet, Weirzchos. At this time of the year, you can go forward from 916, where Hercules is given the crown, and move forward all the way until January. And what you're going to see is something so mind blowing. The heavens definitely are declaring the glory, and we are just witnesses to this glory that's happening in heavens. And the entire thing is this comet Weirzchos, and it represents Michael ready for fire and judgment. I mean, we can see these codes, and there is even in the codes the 13th of January. And in our next part, we're going to come back and we're going to bring forward the rest of these codes, and we're going to dig into some more language in the heavens that is associated with the serpent bearer and the language of Ophiuchus and Draco, and how this serpent Draco seed is being used to set up all of this coming prophecy. And we're going to be able to watch it unfold in the heavens. And the heavens are declaring the mighty hands of the Maker. The story is already written. Much love.